Hi, and welcome to today's unit. In the last video, we investigated what AI is all about. In this video, we will see how machines actually learn and excel at tasks previously only done by humans. And as you already know, some of the greatest successes in computer-based AI have been seen in games. In 1996, a computer program called Deep Blue was able to beat the world master in chess. The trend continued to make headlines in 2016 when AlphaGo defeated one of the world's best players over 5 matches in Go, a Chinese board game way more complex than chess. Obviously, mastering a game like chess or Go requires some kind of intelligence. On the other hand, games have precise rules. Thus, they are very easy to formalize. Therefore, gameplay has long been a chosen method for demonstrating the abilities of thinking machines. Actually, the dream of a machine that plays chess, often called the game of kings, is indeed much older than AI. In this picture, we see the so-called Mechanical Turk. The Mechanical Turk is a chess-playing machine built in 1769 by an Austrian mechanic. Among others, the machine was able to beat state representatives like Napoleon Bonaparte or Benjamin Franklin. There's only one problem with the Mechanical Turk. It was fake. It was just an illusion. As you can see in the picture, the machine allowed a human to fit inside. So, with a good human player inside, the majority of all games could be won. And at least for the opponent, it looked as if the Mechanical Turk was actually playing chess. So, this machine is what we would refer to as an agent, even though it was fake. When we speak of machine learning, we think of our computer program as an agent. Not a Secret Service agent like James Bond, but a computer program. A computer program that perceives and acts in his environment and is capable of well-specified, independent and autonomous behavior, at least to a certain point. This means that, depending on various states of the agent's environment, a certain process is carried out without any explicit start signal or intervention given from outside. So, in today's episode, we want to take a look at how a machine can learn to play chess.
As chess and Go are way too complex for a short video, we brought you a version of mini chess. In this simple setup, each piece moves like a pawn, which means it can move straight ahead or can beat an opposing piece diagonally. One person takes over the monkeys and acts as the human player. In this case, that's me. Another person, or in your digital version, the computer itself, assumes the role of the computer in form of the crocodiles. In our case, you might guess from the arm, this is Tillman. One side has won if it managed to lead one piece to the other end of the playing field, or to capture all opposing pieces, or to ensure that the opponent cannot make any more moves in the next round. As a preparation, we've printed out the computer's move options. Then, chocolate tokens are distributed onto these moves. For each colored arrow, we place a correspondingly colored token in the area right next to each game situation. With this chessboard game, we can see how computers can learn strategies for games even though they only know the rules of the game. Our agent in this case is the player controlling the crocodiles, Tillman. So let's start straight ahead with the game. The human player starts. As the human player, I can move freely according to the rules of the game. I'll just go in the middle. Then it's the crocodile's turn. What Tillman is doing is comparing the current board position with a possible move and select the appropriate playing situation from the given alternatives. In this case, it's here. Next, he closes his eyes and randomly picks one of the tokens placed next to the respective game situations. The color of the token, in this case orange, determines which move is made. As there is no clear winner at the moment, I'm allowed to make my move. And I'll just capture his piece diagonally here. Now that the monkeys reached the end of the board, I win. As the computer, Tillman, now needs to change his strategy. Before a new round is played, he adjusts his strategy as follows. Since the monkeys won, the chocolate tokens that determined the last move of the crocodile player is removed. In addition, all tokens are placed to the right side of the playing field again, and the board is reset. Okay, so let's play a new round. I'll move the piece on the outer side. Now it's Tillman's turn. He determines which is the correct situation, selects randomly one move, and moves accordingly. After Tillman moved, I'll now try to sneak through the middle. Now it's Tillman's turn again. He checks for the corresponding game situation and randomly chooses one token and moves then according to this token. Now the crocodiles won. In this case, we add a chocolate token to the square of that turn in the color of the winning move. We'll now play a couple of more rounds. Before you continue watching, we invite you to pause this video and try out the chess version yourself. You'll find a link to online version right below the video. So, after playing multiple rounds, I, as a human, have almost no chance to win. So let's try this move that helped me win in the first place. At this point, the computer strategy is telling it to capture my piece, whereas the options to pass, by is long gone. Try again to sneak by. Now it's Tillman's turn. He checks for the game situation, randomly selects a token, and moves correspondingly. So I lost again. But why is the computer always winning now? At first, Tillman, in his role as the computer, selected moves randomly. But he gradually learned, with the candy token system, which moves help him to win and which ones most likely end in defeat. The computer is improving its strategy and is getting better and better over time, since it is punished for losing and rewarded for winning. That's why we call this type of machine learning reinforcement learning, learning through reward and punishment. Punishment means taking away a piece of candy in a situation that led to defeat. Reinforcement means adding a piece of candy to a move that led to a victory. This procedure sorts out those moves that resulted in defeat, so that at some point only good moves remain. In practice, strategies that do not lead to success would not be eliminated immediately, only the probability of their occurrence would probably be reduced. In this way, the AI system gradually learns which strategy is most suitable in which situation.
So let's take a look at a general reinforcement learning problem. We have an environment, in this case a bed of flowers, an agent, in this case this cute little robot, and a problem. In this case, the robot wants to plant a lot of beautiful flowers. In the first step, the agent captures the state, which is made up of the relevant aspects of its environment. For a robot, for example, this is given by the growth status of the flowers. In the chess game, the position of all the pieces on the field would represent the state. Within its environment, the agent can now perform actions, which it selects from a set of available actions depending on the state of the environment. Our robot has the same two possible actions to choose from in each state: watering or planting seedlings with a spade. In the chess game, the actions correspond to all possible moves in the respective board position, visualized by the colored arrows. Performing one of the available actions changes the state of the environment. This then produces two things: a reward or punishment and a new state. If a robot is in the seedlings already planted state and contributes to the growth of the seedlings by the watering action, it is rewarded with a fixed number of coins. The new state is shown through the fully grown flowers. If the robot dug up the seedlings with a spade instead, he would have been punished and coins would have been taken away from him. In our mini chess, the machine was rewarded by adding sweets. By taking sweets away, the machine was punished. The new state is the new board position. The agent is always rewarded or punished according to rules that have been defined in advance. The way in which reward and punishment are given has a considerable influence on how the agent learns. So it is not unthinkable that a self-driving car learns not to accelerate at all because standing still is not punished, but the punishment in an accident would be extremely high in comparison. While rewarding leads the agent to show behavior more frequently, punishment makes the regarding behavior less frequent. Successful actions are thus reinforced, unsuccessful actions are unlearned. In this way, the agent adapts its strategy, which is stored in something called a model. When we speak of the agent's learning process, we mean an adaptation of the model. You may think of this as a shelf, where the robot maintains an up-to-date evaluation of possible actions for each state. For example, if the seedlings are already planted, it's much more promising to water them than to dig them up again. As with our mini chess, at first the agent's behavior will be explorative, and it selects actions randomly due to a lack of experience. By repeatedly running through the cycle of capture state, try an action, and receive reward, the agent will gradually optimize its strategy.
This type of learning, or reinforcement learning, is very similar to how we as humans learn. A kid that learns how to turn over, sit up, crawl, or stand learns by trial and error, trying things out, failing, until eventually, through a lot of practice, he learns how to turn over, sit up, and so on. The same way a kid will learn not to touch the hot stove, as it gets punished right away. So learning happens in a goal-oriented manner and always through interaction with the environment. At this point, you might wonder what real-world problems reinforcement learning can be applied to. With the same procedure, machines can learn to play more complex games, like the Chinese Go we already saw, or even collaborative games like StarCraft 2 or Dota, that we unfortunately can't show you here. Another area of application can be industrial robots that need to learn a specific behavior to process a workpiece. Let's imagine a simple welding robot whose job is to find the spot where to weld. In state 1, the robot chooses to move the orange servo by 42 degrees, leading him to the following state 2. Then the robot is moving the yellow servo by minus 34 degrees, leading him to state 3. Now we consider the robot arm to be in an unsuccessful state. We give him a reward. So the actions leading him to this state are reinforced, for example, depending on how relevant they were for the reward received, as indicated here through the differentially sized thumbs. Reinforcement learning requires a lot of data and iterative improvement. Therefore, it is better to have more than one robot. You can use cameras to give hands or feedback on the hands-eye coordination so the agent can gradually improve its movement. Another option would be to use simulated environments before allowing the robot or car to interact with the real world. Another area of applications is in the optimization of processes, problems that are really hard to solve mathematically and where it's not clear which strategy will work out best. This could be, for example, controlling the air conditioning in a data center or planning transit schedules. Google actually uses reinforcement learning to save energy in their data centers. The state of the environment is determined by factors such as the total IT load, the number of water pumps, outside weather conditions such as wind direction, wind speed or air humidity, number of dry coolers running, number of chillers running, and so on. Possible actions include increasing or decreasing the energy supply to a specific unit. With just 10 dry coolers, each with 10 levels or settings, you would have 10 to the power of 10 or 10 billion possible configurations. A set of possibilities far beyond the ability of anyone to test for real. So there is an incredibly huge number of states and no human can possibly find an optimal solution. The computer can. With the objective to improve data centers' efficiency, the reward has been based on power usage effectiveness. With such an agent, the data centers now save up to 40% on energy consumption. So, reinforcement learning can be applied in a lot more situations than just games. Tomorrow, we'll take a closer look at what happens inside the machine, how this behavior is achieved, and how we can program an agent to learn. Thank you guys for watching, and see you tomorrow.